Well, hello, good friend.
Hey,
How are you doing?
good. I haven't heard the countdown for so long, so it's nice to be able to be like dun, 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 dun. It's been a while. How long has it been? Like 2 weeks?
I mean, it feels like it's been a while, like way too long. Can I just answer way too long?
Yeah, maybe that's a good answer. Way too
It
young.
does feel like it's been like
Way
2 or
too
3
young.
weeks.
Way too long.
How are you doing? You look great. I'm loving I'm
Yeah.
loving the outfit.
I
The
had-
hair's all cool.
I had back-to-back meetings until around 4. I went and I had 2 drinks with a friend and a little buzzed, and then I came back. So I kept the professional clothes all the way.
Look, I think there's a whole. I like this. I love it. I like the Buzz Dima. I mean, it's just good.
Good. I'm
This is
prepared
good.
to give you a speech. I can go ahead and give a speech right now. Dressed up.
And you should. We're gonna have the best keynote speakers on a certain topic tonight of watershed and litter and like we're just gonna get dirty tonight.
There's so much more. Like Marie, there's so much more to Marie. So we're gonna dig deep.
I've heard good things. I mean,
I've heard great things.
I feel like I know good things, and then I got some really good vibes from Jeff today.
Yeah.
I met for all of the 7 minutes that I've known Jeff. I feel like we're good friends. I mean, I didn't, I got the whole North Carolina story. I did not know that y'all had a North Carolina connection there.
There we go. Yeah, we drove in the same road.
I mean, look at that. Connections.
Well, since we're talking about Marie and Jeff, let's bring them to the show.
Why? You don't want to talk to me anymore?
No, I can't.
3 weeks, Dima, and you're ready to get rid of me. It's been 3 minutes.
No. Okay, let's
with
talk
a 30-second countdown. You're already done with me.
Rob, how are you? No, wait. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I love you. I miss you, and
you too.
It's just been so long.
I know. Nice haircut. Nice haircut.
It's fresh. It's
and
fresh.
Nice. The shaving beard. That's good.
I showered specifically for this show because I know we're going to be talking about some dirty talk. Got to feel a little icky. Gonna be a little gross. So I took a shower. I was ready. And also, look, might as well be buzzed for this kind of thing because when you think about the state of things, you're like, someone had to be drunk to make a decision to throw this crap somewhere and not in a trash can. So yeah. What do you say, Dima? What do you think?
I did a good job. I had 2 old-fashioned for this, so we'll see how it goes. I'm like,
nice.
So happy right now.
I had 40 ounces of water with like some flavor enhancer and feeling good tonight.
Good.
Feeling a little.
As long as one of us is buzzed, we're good.
Look, and that's all it takes. Let's bring some friends in because it's never okay to be buzzed alone. I think we got to bring some friends into the mix, and let's just go ahead and do that. Let's bring Jeff Keeney and Marie Constantin into the mix. They've been doing some amazing work around town, and let's talk to our new friends. How are you doing, new friends?
Great. How you doing?
Doing great.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us tonight. So, excuse me, Dr. Jeff Keeney and Marie Constantin. So, look, we've got to get to know y'all. Who wants to start? Can y'all fight it out?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Marie, I think ladies go first. Go for it.
Good man.
Okay, we're pretty excited about what's going on with stormwater. It's gotten a lot of attention. And, basically the litter on the streets is thrown there by the people. But when cities don't have stormwater treatment programs, the city itself becomes the litter bug. And so this is what we're dealing with. We're 30 years behind. Other cities have permanent funding that goes on a utility bill. Stormwater really falls into the same category that sewage would fall into. And so you don't want to, you want some permanent funding, you want other funding too. but it needs permanent funding.
Now, is this something that, I heard these three words, Louisiana Stormwater Coalition. Is this related to what y'all are talking about? Is this a group effort? Can you talk a little bit about that as well, Marie?
So
Yeah.
Marie, start with a little bit about where you got started with all of this, because everybody needs to know.
Okay. Well, basically, January 2020, I was walking my dog along down to Capitol Lake, and I guess I never went there, and down, and I saw litter as far as the eye could see. It was absolutely shocking and stunning, and I was saddened by it, and so I said, I'm just going to give this lake a year of my life. I'm going to go clockwise, and I'm going to pick it up. And then I thought about, Mother Teresa, and I said to myself, I remembered her saying I don't have to be successful, because there was no way you could be successful with so much litter. I said, I just have to be faithful. So I said, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to show up and pick it up. And so I did. And then, to make a long story short, I was going to announce date night down at the Southern Shore, because I had picked up the whole entire Southern Shore, and a storm blew in that night, a storm. And we found out later that storms deposit 41 bags of litter to Capitol Lakes a month. And it dropped 20 bags onto the shore that I had just cleaned. And so I was discouraged about it. And I was Facebook posting of how this litter made me feel. And people started feeling sorry for me, and they started identifying, and they started coming out in droves. And toward the recent part of this campaign, we were picking up like 100 bags a weekend. So many people, over 150 people have cared about this, and then lots of groups of people have come out, and we're working on solutions. The solutions are not hard, but they're very expensive. And that's why you need the program. You need the permanent funding, because some of these devices that can capture litter are upwards of well over 150,000. But then other items that will capture litter down to a hair on your head, litter in flood-causing sediments. And then we discovered that the people in Florida that have had these programs started naming these programs flooding and water quality programs, because when you have a program, you also reduce flooding. And now, we wouldn't have stopped the 31 inches from the 2016 flood, but a heck of a lot of people wouldn't have lost their homes, because we would have had the money to have the infrastructure that we don't have right now.
If I can go one step further. So Marie, you're walking your dog, you get involved on your own. People start following you.
Yes.
They see you advocate for this, and then something happened recently, and that's where I think we want to talk to Dr. Jeff about, because a certain area got a lot of attention, and it got attention like 2 or 3 years ago for the same thing. It's almost like we forgot about this, but we finally get some discussion about all of the litter at the Bird Museum. Yes. And we know if it's there, it's other places. So Dr. Jeff, come on, lay it on us. What's your role there? How'd you get involved with this beautiful person, Marie? And what's your take on this?
So my take on this, that's a great question, and hopefully I'll give you a great answer. I have been out at Burden for 10 years. And when I first got out here, I started walking the property. We have 440 acres of green space right in the middle of Baton Rouge, and it's beautiful, and it's a community treasure. So I started walking the property because I'd never seen the entire property, and I came to the back of the property, and all of a sudden I saw this huge amount of trash, of litter, and I thought, oh my God, are my staff dumping this here? Is this where it came from? And I started investigating it further, and I realized that the way we are situated at Burden is we're kind of an island, a green island in the middle of the city. And one side of the green island is the interstate, and the other side of the island is Ward Creek. And Ward Creek, it turns out, is one of the main tributaries of or one of the main channels of our storm watershed. So all of the water, the storm water, when it rains in Baton Rouge, all of the water comes to Ward Creek, and from Ward Creek it goes to Bayou Manship. And so as that water flows down Ward Creek, part of it comes into Burden. And I found out that with that water also comes trash, comes aquatic trash. And so basically it wasn't my staff that was polluting our watershed, but it was actually the community that our community that was doing it. It moves from the streets, from wherever people throw it on the ground, and it goes down into the storm drains and it comes out into our channels. And it was just an incredible situation that was really overwhelming for me. And I've been working on this for 10 years, and all of a sudden, Constantin calls me and he said, Jeff, I've been picking up litter and it's just like overwhelming me. And I don't know what to do. And I hear that you've had this very same problem at Burden. And as soon as that phone call was made and we started that conversation, Marie and I have been like this, working on this issue for probably over a year now.
Wow, a year. You're saying
it's been we're it's a year with us working together. And then I know for me working at Capital Lakes is 15 months, 1,192 bags, 225 tires, a couch, 2 toilets, and other items.
You said toilets?
Yeah, 2 toilets.
You found 2 toilets.
Yes. I don't know how they got in there, but there were 2 toilets.
Wow.
And you know what's interesting, a pun on the toilets, and I don't want to make this funny, but every time we have a rain event, it's like the great flush, right?
Yes.
The rain comes down, we have all this storm water, and it flushes all this litter from where it's been collecting into our storm drains. And so it's kind of appropriate that Marie mentioned the toilets, actually.
A lot of it is we don't, it's the way we handle our garbage, whether you're a contractor or an apartment complex or a resident. There are some towns that require people to bag their stuff and tie it tight, because when you don't, it's flying out the trucks. But litter is very, very complicated. Over on 19th Street or 9th Street, they're throwing it on purpose. On Spanish Town Road, it's the garbage trucks. Each thing, it's so complicated. So you kind of have to you have to hit all the pistons. And so far, everything we've done has not worked. But what we do know is that we're 30 years behind on stormwater issues. And we do know that Florida is not filthy like we are. And they're doing something that's working. And we kind of feel like if you can clean up and get recreation and ecotourism into these beautiful areas, those people that enjoy that will protect that. And so it's sort of working from the inside out, and instead of working we've worked from the obvious, tell them to stop, and that has not worked. And so when it doesn't work, you have to pivot. And we've found that other communities have pivoted in this direction, and it all makes sense, because these devices, these hydrodynamic separators, will grab flood-causing sediments and litter down to a hair on your head. And so you are, you're healing, you're positioning the watershed to heal itself. You're not polluting the food that you're eating. They say we're eating a credit card worth of plastic a week. Oh. And you're having recreation. You're not embarrassed to go kayaking or when someone comes from out of state. I mean, the watershed, this litter on the streets is embarrassing and hurts business. Litter in the watershed is sort of the soul, and it hurts in a different way. It hurts in a much deeper way because we're hurting our bodies. But we also found there's a thing called death by litter. And Brian Boudreau, our wildlife photographer, has photographed a lot of birds last summer, diving birds who dove down to get a fish and came up with their beaks tied and died, and he found like 6 or 7 birds in just in the time that he happened to be there. So you can imagine how many birds and animals are dying death by litter because we will not pay $3.50 for a stormwater utility fee or something like that.
Wow. I had no idea. I had no idea your project is existing. All of this is going on. Wow. And I can only imagine how many people in our area also, they don't have idea that this is
Yeah, we talked to the people that sell the equipment, and they said we're 30 years behind.
Wow.
Found out there's evidence to back that up. The Florida Stormwater Association is now 30 years old. They train and bring communities online to have programs. But what they did 30 years ago was some people got together with legislators and they said, let's declare stormwater to be a utility so we can pay for it like we do sewerage. Because our grandfather's stormwater was not full of single-use items. It was not toxic. Ours and our generations have become toxic. We just haven't kept up with needing to deal with toxic. And so it makes sense that we would classify this as sewerage and fund it as sewerage and not say, well, let's just vote whether we're going to do this. Can you imagine if we all said, well, the volunteers didn't go out to the sewer treatment plant this week, so it's kind of stinky down there. Or, you know, well, we voted not to refund the sewer treatment plant. That really is funny, but that's what this is technically, because this stuff is dangerous and it's killing. And if we're eating it.
So I didn't realize I was eating a credit card a week.
Yeah, I did not know I'm eating one credit card a week. So tell
crazy.
us more. How is that happening? Like, you mean because the plants are absorbing all of this?
Microplastics are in our food supply from the water. What happens is, we picked 600 bags alone out of the woods, and the stuff we picked out was some of the oldest of plastics, and it was just a mess, just disintegrating. And so that turns into microplastics, and then an animal eats it.
It's coming to us in our water, not in our food, in our water.
Well, our drink
both.
I believe.
And then the plants are absorbing all of this water.
The animals, mainly the animals. So aquatic life ingests the microplastics, and then the microplastics are in them, and then we eat them. So yeah, it's part of the circle of life, the chain of life. One of the things that I think is important also for everyone to know is our state, especially in South Louisiana, as we know from last week, we have a lot of rainfall. We have the most precipitation of any state in our country, in continental United States. So we have a tremendous amount of water. And the great thing about all the water is, this is where the sportsman's paradise, right? We have ducks, we have all the waterfowl, we have hunting, fishing, all the wonderful seafood we have. And we all enjoy that. That's been part of our culture for hundreds of years. And one of the things that's happened slowly over time, as Marie said, our grandfather's litter isn't our litter now. And so, they enjoy the wonderful natural surroundings we have and all the water that we've lived with for many years. But what's happened is the amount of plastics we used has continued to increase as the amount of water has continued to increase. And with that has become the issue that we have, litter and the amount of plastic that is in our environment now. So we've got to, like Marie said, we've got to pivot, and we've got to think about our sportsman's paradise and what we need to do to protect it and continue to enjoy it, because it is wonderful. It's one of the wonderful parts of living here. And so that we can continue to enjoy it and have a beautiful environment to live in with it, we need to recognize that it's a problem. As Marie said, we've got to take care of it and fund it.
Well, and not only just that, we've got to maintain it, right? It's fun. It's fine. We've got to raise the acknowledgement to make this an issue,
right?
Hopefully get the money, but to sustain it too, because we'll look at the hard time we're trying to have funding a new bridge or infrastructure with the gas tax.
Yeah.
Yes.
With raising something as simple as that. We're talking about water. We're talking about litter. We're talking about our community ingesting food. I mean, you're talking about so many things here that it's crazy that we couldn't really come together on something as simple as this. But it's not just, we have a fight to even get it acknowledged to get the funding. Can you imagine? I guess the other big part of this conversation is the maintenance it's going to take to maintain this. Because I thought it was as simple as installing these booms. We install them, we get them out there, you know, and they pick up they collect all the stuff, we dump it out. But I guess I also had no context as to how much it was going to collect. So how often we'd have to release what we just collected so we could start collecting more. So I guess there's so much to this that I didn't, it was embarrassing that I had to get schooled on litter and water, because this is so simplistic. Don't do it. And if you do it, pick it up or manage it or maintain it. We can't even talk about maintaining it because we can't get the funding. Where are we at on this, Marie? Because
Rob, it's a massive problem. And the thing that we're struggling with is what our coalition, you know, Kelly Hurtado, Renee Verma, and two of us, we realized that we have to educate first, because the average bear doesn't know that the cities who do not have stormwater treatment are the litter bugs of the watersheds, as opposed to the people on the streets. And so litter is very complicated. But what they don't also realize, we have the Florida Stormwater Report, which God bless Franklin Press prints as many as I asked for, and I think I've asked them to print them 30 are, and they're thick and expensive to print. And it shows people city after city after city after city, 160 cities in Florida, Miami charging $3.50, bringing in 12 million, but bringing in 30 million because they have grants and donations and other things. And so we would never, well, maybe we would, I don't know, but I think we wouldn't get distressed about the budget for sewerage. We have to get to a place where we recognize the plastics are saving our lives up at the hospital. We can't get rid of everything. You know, we can't live.
Right.
We learn how to manage it, and loose trash is the enemy. So we have to come in and say, you know, put your big girl pants on and pay the $3.50, because would you complain about the sewerage fee? It's on the same thing. And our job is to try to educate people to get their head wrapped around this, that this is what this is. It's huge. But these fabulous machines that will grab parking lot oils, decaying organics that hurt the oxygen levels in the water, litter, and flood-causing sediments, those four things, that water goes in beautiful when it's treated, and that machine treats by design, not by electricity or moving parts. It's like a washing machine. It has a stainless steel cylinder. Liz Harris and I went down to Pensacola and visited with the stormwater facilities manager, and we got to see one. And so you buy it, and it's working forever. You just have to suck it out because it'll be in bypass mode. But we found out that Baton Rouge has over 100 of these in businesses, but our city didn't have something happened. I don't know. Things got mixed up, and they're supposed to be inspected. And the vendor who sells them said, Marie, I think they're all in bypass mode. Every one of these places represents God, how many volunteers in our city, you know? And so if we had the will, we could call this guy, and say, could you get with your company and resurrect where they are if somebody lost the list? If these things there's one over there on, is it college? No, not college. Which street is that? It's the Dollar General over there on Lee Drive that has a hydrodynamic separator made by the finest company in America, Contact Engineering, spins that stuff. And for all we know, if the city lost the list, it's in bypass mode.
Oh, man.
There's one over at Lee High School. You know, I'm told there's over 100 of these.
So one of the things that I think what Marie's referring to is with Florida, they have they have a stormwater management plan for a lot of their municipalities. And part of that stormwater management plan is to look at water quality. So we know we have a lot of water, right? We had a flood in 2016. It was horrible. And so one of the things that Florida's done is say, okay, look, we've got to learn to live with water. We got to manage it. And so it's not just about the amount of water we have, but it's the water quality that we have as well. They go hand in hand.
Yes.
So our city right now is working on a stormwater master plan. Okay. This master plan is how do we prevent flooding from happening again? But one of the components of that master plan doesn't contain is stormwater management. And so if you look at the Baton Rouge Business Report, which just came out today, that something that we've known for a while, our city has to have, according to EPA, what they call an MS4 permit. And our city has failed its 4th MS4 permit. And this is a permit that the city has to have in order about managing stormwater. And we have failed at managing stormwater in this city. The flood is a perfect example of that. And so we are now looking at the same consent decree that we had for sewage that we will have with stormwater. We've got to do something about it. So I think we've got a perfect juncture here where the federal government has recognized DEQ, our Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, with EPA, that we've got a problem and it needs to be fixed. So what we've done recently, the Louisiana Stormwater Coalition, is we've got a resolution before the Senate that has requested Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality to do a feasibility study to look at stormwater and how our state can manage it. Just not our city, because this is a problem across our whole state. How can we manage stormwater? What's the best way to do it? And once we have that feasibility study done, the plan is after that, as Marie mentioned, we got to look at some type of utility fee in order to manage stormwater, as we've been talking about. So that's kind of the steps of the process. The short-term goal right now is, what are we going to do? What's the city of Baton Rouge going to do? The long-term goal is what can our state do?
Yeah. And Mary, what you said, the $3.50, that is not a huge amount for each one of us to pay. First, it is for our city, plus what you said, it is for cleaner water that we're drinking, cleaner food supply that we're eating. So it's not a major inhibitive amount of money. So I'm just curious, like, who are you working with? Are you working with the governor? Are you working with the mayor? Are they supportive? Do you feel they're putting barriers? Like, who's your team? Who are you interacting with?
Go ahead, Jeff.
So yeah, actually, the Louisiana Stormwater Coalition is
diplomatic. Is he more diplomatic?
Marie just she was like,
Well,
here you go, Jeff.
hit that ball. Okay, I've caught it. We're working with as many people as we can, as many different organizations as we can. As I mentioned, LADEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, has been wonderful. Secretary Brown, we're working with him. Mark Cooper, the governor's chief of staff, we've been working with him. So the governor's aware of this. I mean, his house sits right next to Capitol Lake, so he sees it every day. He knows it's a problem. We've also been working with Speaker of the House, Sheck Snyder. We met at his office the other day. His office in the state capitol overlooks the Capitol Lake. You know, this is something that our state needs to be proud of. Yeah. And they realize that too. So they're on board. We've had a little trouble, I will say, working with the city. It's not been a real fruitful effort, and we're continuing to have a conversation with Mayor Broom and our staff. I think there's a possibility for us all to come out winners on this, but they're going to have to put some skin on the game, to be truthful, and they haven't done that yet.
Wow.
Baton Rouge Area Foundation has been absolutely amazing. They were the first ones we turned to.
Yeah.
And, you know, they pulled together people. And I was so impressed with Dr. Chuck Brown, Secretary Brown was amazing. And then Sean Wilson, and then Jimmy LeBlanc. I mean, they all just had a heart of gold and they wanted to help. And so, you know, we're doing what we can. And part of the problem is Mayor Broom did not create this situation. She is, unfortunately, you know, I'm sure she's not happy that this came to light on her watch, and that's how life is. And so she's going to have to deal with it. And the truth is, you know, we're an anti-fee kind of a community. So
Yep.
that makes it hard. It's not like we're going to somebody who says, well, this is so logical. Of course, I'll ask for this utility fee. So when you talk fee, people run for cover. But what we found here is this is a nonpartisan issue, and we found a lot of friends, and they don't want to live like this. It's embarrassing. I mean, you know, we just went in the Bayou Fountain this evening, and here's this hero, you know, Nathaniel Crum, who's for 10 years been keeping it beautiful so people could use the Breck launch and have 4 miles of beauty, even though there's litter. I can only imagine what it would be like if he didn't do his work, you know. And so our coalition wants to help people like that. If he gets a boom, we would, for the first time to my knowledge, in Baton Rouge in a long time, generationally speaking, have a 4.25 mile stretch where you could be in a kayak and not see filth and bring your relative from another state and not have to apologize, you know. And so we could make a 4 mile stretch, an 8 mile stretch, and an 8 mile stretch. I mean, Lafayette's for decades had 68 miles through 7 booms and a bandalong, through a $250,000 income on a property tax. And you know, here's what's really important. They almost lost their funding because it is solely on a property tax. And they almost, can you imagine? They have 68 miles they keep clean. They have recreation for locals, ecotourism, bringing in money. They're going and they're eating at restaurants. A friend of mine went down, bought our kayaks there because they had a greater selection. We went out to lunch, you know, the whole night. That's ecotourism. And they almost lost their funding. And so it makes a great case for why Florida has 160 cities who have a permanently funded program with supplemented with other fees.
Look, you mentioned Miami, and just before the show, Jeff and I were talking. You know, where are you from? What do you do? How'd you get tied up in all this? And I moved to Louisiana from Florida.
Wow.
And I moved from Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right next to Miami. Lived in Miami for a little bit too. And so, yeah.
Did you see such glitter in your life?
No, what I was going to say was, you know, better road system, you know, education was slightly improved. And most of all, when I came here to Louisiana, I was 9 years old. I'm sorry, 7.5, 8 years old. The first thing I noticed was how dirty it was.
Isn't that
the second thing I noticed was how friendly everybody was, and it really wasn't friends; they were all family. But that culture kind of ties you in, brings you in, and you forget about all the stuff. But something you're talking about, ecotourism, and that all kind of ties hand in hand. You said feeling good about showing your family a 4 mile stretch. How sad is that we have to fight for 4 miles to not look like shit? Sorry. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, you'd have to go to Lafayette to get more than, well, right now you don't have 4 miles. We don't have it. But you know,
we don't even have the Capitol Lakes behind our capital.
Exactly. We don't.
It started, Marie.
We don't.
Well, you know, you want to keep your kids here, and how we're passionate about the ecotourism byproduct that you get when you have a program, and we're passionate about it, and we feel like wow, we're a great city. We have fabulous restaurants. We're very friendly. We're wonderful people. What if we could add this piece we totally don't have? And, you know, we took Renee Verma and Kelly Hurtado, and Kelly lives right over there by where we took her. And they had no idea that that was so beautiful. And they were, you know, right. And we were in the city. We went to one place where cars were going by. You know, we were sitting there kayaking in immense beauty in the city with filth, unimaginable water bottles and styrofoam cups. Not okay.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that, you know, we're kind of getting at here is that, yeah, we've got a wonderful culture. We've got wonderful people here. We've got a beautiful environment to live in, and you know, we need to suck it up. And as Marie said, put the big girl pants on, and we got to be proud of where we live. You know, we've got a great place to live. Take pride in where you live. You know, take care of the environment, of the great natural surroundings we have, and work on with us to get this solved. It's not easy. Yes, it's going to cost some money, and it can happen.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of where it's coming from, all of this. So because I don't see many people throwing trash in the streets. So you mentioned earlier, Mary, where some people may not close their trash bags,
Yes.
so some of them may come out. But is that it? Like, where is it coming from?
Well, litter is very complicated, and I'm glad you asked that. On my street of Spanish Town Road, I studied it for a year. I was determined to. My first thought was, oh my God, who's doing this? And then I thought, well, I'm going to pick it up scientifically. I'm going to go the night before and the whole 9 yards. And so I did. And then after 2 weeks of this, I called my good buddy Angela Degerbell, and I said, oh my God, it's me. I'm the litter bug because I don't tie my garbage. Like, yikes, I'm the litter bug. And so I was just stunned. But then my neighbors said, well, that's not happening on my street. You know, on my street, they're throwing it. But then you could have a construction project going on. And why aren't we asking people, if you're going to go get a porta potty, could you please ask for a garbage can too? And they can empty the garbage can when they empty the porta potty. You know, it's little teeny things like this. So once that litter gets into the street from all these complex sources, the storm drains are freeway on-ramp systems to the watershed. And in our grandfather's day, they didn't dig canals. The land absorbed it, and they didn't build in low areas. But we created these unnatural storm drains in the 50s in Baton Rouge. You can see the signs on there, engraved in the concrete. And it was a time when litter was just starting, you know. And so it has subsequently grown like a bull market out of control. And it's actually expected to double with the single-use items. It's going to double. So if we don't get a grip on this, and there's another thing, I think Dr. Jeff did some, LSU came out and did some core samples, you know, with LSU. Well, guess what? Nature gave us a core sample over at Capitol Lake. A monster tree had fallen. We were picking the 600 bags out of there. And in that big, massive root ball was not 2 or 3 or 10 pieces of litter or 15, 20 some pieces of litter. That tree, I don't know if it was 20 years old, 25 years old. That root ball gave us in Capitol Lakes our core sample.
Wow.
It was a stunning moment, and the density was shocking. All types of litter, mostly the older stuff, the glass and stuff, you know, the cans, the beer cans.
It's sad because it is right next to the governor's mansion, right behind. I mean, it's right. Arsenal Park embraces it. Spanish Town's right behind. You see, you said Spanish Town Road. I lived right behind the grocery, the market, like right there on the corner grocery for a year, and love Spanish Town. And then you've also got, you know, our Capitol's right there. You've got state buildings.
Yeah.
That area has never really looks too clean, if I'm quite honest. It's never been too clean, but it's just gotten worse. And there's even islands of trash and trees that are invasive, just growing up on the middle of it. Like, it looked better than that, but it was never, ever really clean. So
out of control right now because
out of control.
We got it under. Well, we've cleaned the lakes 15 times. We've literally cleaned them 15 times because the 40 bags come in. We got caught up every month. We get caught up, and then the snakes came out. We actually have a cleanup day Thursday night at I think 4:15. We're gonna try to get caught up, but we put 7 wood duck boxes out. We decorated 16 trees with Spanish moss last year, and the moss is taken. We made the lakes absolutely stunning until this month, and we will get caught up. So
I gotta tell you, you get caught up, but look at this. I want to talk about this, Marie. You sent this email out, and I this is what you're talking about, right? Thursday, April 22nd,
yeah,
4:15. Wear some rubber boots. Bring a litter stick. That's the thing. Jab it, or get you a grabber.
Yeah.
And then print out the attached litter zone. So you're so organized.
Yeah, we got
impressive. Now, if you're watching, check this out. To date, we have picked up 1,192 bags, 200 and literally our 225. 225, our zip code of tires that you've picked up. 2 toilets, a couch. I thought the toilets were bad. You picked up a couch and other light items. This is just from Capitol Lakes, Marie?
Yeah, we didn't even mention the shopping carts because we haven't gotten those.
I've seen those. I know those exist.
I don't know if you ever heard of Providence Road, but they've partnered with us and they're helping. The kids picked up the 225 tires and the couch and the 2 toilets. It's a beautiful.
Wow.
They have,
so people just throw them there. So I understand trash. It just maybe it goes with the wind, like it blows with the wind, with the water. But the toilets, or the couch, so people are just getting it and just dumping it there.
I don't know how the toilets got there because they were pretty far down. I mean, to me, it would take a lot of effort to bring those toilets. I mean, I don't know what the situation is, but these kids are hardworking. And another thing we're doing that I haven't really talked about is on Capitol Lakes is the Providence kids, we have committed to making a complete circle around the lakes. And we're getting massive amounts because we cleaned the whole lakes. We're spreading out and we are cleaning the perimeter of the lakes. And we're asking business owners around there if they will pick litter before their contractor pick litter before he mows, to put that in the contract. That's the kind of small thing. You got Wilson's Warehouse back there, and I keep meaning to reach out to them because they are like model citizens. I think they actually hire a landscaper. But we are committed to completely circling that industrial area. We're going to make the circle, and we're not going to stop till we get all that litter out of there, and then tell the people what we've done and ask them to help us to adopt a storm drain and pick litter before you mow the grass.
Marie, can I offer a recommendation too? You've got a lot of state buildings right there. I myself was a contractor for the Department of Insurance over there. We got to look through the lakes.
Yeah.
That my view was onto the lakes, looking out towards the governor's mansion. Yeah. And so if there's a way to also harness some power there, there's people that take walks on their breakfast, they take breaks, they'll go at lunch. If they knew something about this, that might help too. There's hundreds of people that might be going back to those state buildings that might be able to help. That was just a suggestion.
Once we're so exhausted. I mean, once we get a piece of equipment in place to grab 80% of the 41 bags, then we can just breathe and do some other things. Angela DeGravel and someone else had an idea of putting umbrella stands out with litter sticks and bags for people that walk. And there's nice things. And then poor Jeff, he's got 81 tons. I hope that our group can go help him when it comes due, because he's got to work on that. And his thing is, I think he has more than 1,192 bags.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Jeff, what can citizens do to help you over there at Burden? What can we do to help?
Right now, we're working on making it so we have about a 30-acre wetlands in the back of our property that I mentioned Ward Creek flows into. It's part of the way that our natural water system helps protect us from flooding. It's an area where when water comes up, water can move into, stay for a while, and percolate into the ground. So it's a natural system that has been littered, trashed for many, many years. And what we have to do is develop something that we can actually get back there to clean it up. And in that cleanup, after we get cleanup, then we can get the community back there to help do the fine work that Marie's doing at Capitol Lakes. But this is going to take a monumental effort to clean up this area. So just to give you an idea, there's about 10 acres of litter that's accumulated with sediment. And Marie mentioned sediment. Sediment is what fills our wetlands that actually prevents water from accumulating so that we can prevent flooding.
Jeff, where is this on the map? Is it?
So go to the 10-12 split north.
Gotcha.
Or west, actually. Yeah, right there. See that gray kind of brownish area where you don't see green trees? Yes, that triangle.
Yeah.
That's the wetland area. And so that 30 acres helps prevent flooding in Baton Rouge. It's part of a wetland system. And as it fills with sediment and litter, we can't collect water there, and so flooding becomes more of a risk. So what we have to do now is that 31 acre or 30 acres has to be, large equipment has to be taken back there. We have to take the litter out with large equipment. And once we get that cleaned up, then we got to restore it back to the natural wetland that it was. So right now we have an estimate that it's going to take about $2 million to do that cleanup.
Wow.
So our 40 years of being passive with this issue is a $2 million effort. And this is just 30 acres at Burden. This isn't the only area in Baton Rouge that has this issue. So what we're hoping to do with this is to get it cleaned up and become an educational area. As you mentioned, the community has to understand, wrap their heads around what it is that helps prevent flooding, but also give us the natural beauty that we have. And so we're looking at this as being an area that can be educational to our public, both for the community, the residents, but also the industry and everybody that lives and works here.
Wow.
Rob, the funding piece of this is huge. Like I said earlier, not for dramatic floods, just in general. When, our canals are a mess, we photographed the canals, we couldn't even believe it. If we had these programs that bring in this money, we would have good stormwater infrastructure. We would have the full-time employees trained specifically to empty these machines and dedicated to it, and they would keep these canals clean. A whole lot of houses would have been spared. Not every house, but a lot of houses. And that's why Florida came to that realization and started calling these flooding and water quality programs, but what we struggle as a group is to educate and tell people the knowledge, that the piece that we found out, that, hey, because we're so traumatized by floods, we tend to only talk about that, not realizing that this other piece can bring us a lot, and we can kill two birds with the one stone if we're smart.
And one of the things to mention too is, so Marie can have volunteers pick up over 1,000 bags of trash in the lake. I can spend $2 million to clean up our wetlands at Burden. But if we don't have a stormwater management plan in place, all of that work is for naught, because it's just going to continue to happen all over again. So there's a, that two-pronged approach. We got to do the cleanup, but we got to manage it as well.
To stop it from accumulating again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Going down the street too. We have to get people to realize the difference between the city being the cities who don't have equipment being litter bugs and the people being the litter bugs. And so when you have the money with a program, you get to work with the people because you have the money to message them on a regular basis. Telling people not to litter, to me, in my mind, is a complete waste of time. Instead, we should say, tie your bag, or show them pictures of death by litter. Give them specifics. Say, hey, when you do that construction project, make sure they ask the people if they can supply you with garbage cans and empty them. Those kinds of things. Those are specific action items, you know. And if we just keep saying don't litter or show the Indian with the tear, it's kind of like me. I didn't know, you know, we don't know how we litter. We litter and we don't know it. And so we have to pivot.
And one of the things that I will have to give the mayor's office credit for is they are working on educational programming right now and clean up in neighborhoods. That's one of her priorities. And that is an important part of the whole process, right? Education. And when people have to go pick up litter, you know, then they recognize it more, just like with Marie's situation. So it's building that awareness, but it can't just stop there. Like Marie mentioned, you know, we got to educate, but then at the same time, we got to put the equipment, have the management plan in place in order to manage it along with it, because it's not going to go away. It's still going to be there.
You know, it would be, so go ahead, Mary. I just want to share a thought, but you go ahead.
I was going to say, if there's anything about life that is sacred, this is totally not okay. And if life is not sacred, this is still totally not okay. It's not okay that we're not dealing with this.
I don't know if the average person in Baton Rouge realizes this issue. So I wonder if, like, are you taking pictures and sharing them? Because I don't remember seeing a picture. I know with the LSU lakes, when I walk around the LSU lakes, there's specific area where it has tons of litter, and I even make comments where I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm in a third world country. I'm back in the Middle East. But so there is one specific area, but in a lot of the things you're describing, I don't remember seeing pictures of those.
So
I got
Rob, if you'll pull up Louisiana Stormwater Coalition.com or LouisianaStormwater.com.
Yeah.
That has the photos on it. That's our website.
Well, and look, I got a few for you here. I mean, of course, we're sharing some mutual friends, Marie. But look, here's some right here. I mean, you've got a snake, Dima, with a ring around it from a bottle. Okay, so that's what, 5 inches away from this snake's mouth. And while no one likes danger noodles, you also don't need to endanger them with your trash. And so look at this. This is what, an egret, another bird behind it, another wetland bird. And then you've got that toy, like a kid's toy. There's the turtle in front of this nastiness. This is all looking like it's in the lakes. Look, there's your shopping cart that I'm familiar with.
That was about 3 weeks ago, too. 2-3 weeks ago, Brian took those photos. Brian Boudreau.
Yeah, Brian, if you go to LouisianaStormwater.com, we've got some really good photos of what Marie's been dealing with in the lakes, in Capitol Lake, and that our environment deals with too, especially the birds. There you go. So that picture's taken at Burden.
Really?
Yes. So that's in the back of our property in our wetlands.
That's bad. Is that the picture where they showed a few people walking through that area?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. I remember this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So yeah, if you scroll on down, you'll see some of the things that Marie's been dealing with, and there's a volunteers. There's our state bird drinking a beer can not because he wants to, because that's
high life.
Instead of fish, we've got litter.
Wow. Yeah, it's literally throwing back a cold one right now.
Yeah.
That was cold for somebody else.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
No, it's the density. You see that density, Rob? That's actually Dr. Jeff has 5 litter areas, and that's one of the smaller ones. We went out. Our photographer Brian Boudreau used his drone shot to locate where we needed to walk in on the 1 acre one. And the way he found it was mostly styrofoam cups. And so he found it first by satellite, and then he sent up his drone, and it was like an oh my God moment. It was during the winter. You couldn't find it now because of the vegetation.
Right.
The question is, if you did core samples down to 10 feet, how deep would this stuff go? I mean, it's a solid acre of this stuff. And that other smaller, that was the smaller patch. This is so serious in the whole state. And then the thing that's crazy, all that litter that you're seeing, if that got trapped, just imagine how much got sent down to the Manship, the Pontchartrain, and then the ocean. Why have we this is so not okay.
Where is this on the map? Where was that on the map?
It's in
so yeah, if you go back up in that area, so go to the bottom of the triangle almost. Yes, so right down, yes, right. So away from Ward Creek, a little bit further in, towards the interstate.
Okay, so a little bit.
Yes, right in there.
Really?
Yeah, that's where it's accumulating.
Way up. I'm wondering if you can see if it's winter. If it's a winter shot, you could actually.
Is that it? Is that the white stuff right there?
Oh, you
That's
found
it.
Oh my God, you found it. Okay, scroll up. You found it. You found the.
Oh my God, I see it right there. I can see it.
Imagine this is only styrofoam cup.
That's a whole island of it almost, because that water is just going to keep throwing it in there.
Exactly. Yes.
So Ward Creek is right here. It's gonna flooding and all that's gonna happen. You're gonna get water bringing trash. This is a miniature
hydrodynamic separator. It is.
You can see it on. Oh my God! This is bad.
Wow.
Google Earth. Thank you.
There's 5 of them.
You know what's bad about this? We could go back in time and see Google Earth over the periods of time that it takes these snapshots and aerial views. You could see what this area looked like over time. They're free, like right now. This is
so Rob, you know what's really crazy is that first site that shocked you. You can't find that site on Google Earth because it's not. It tends to be the cans and water bottles, so you're only seeing the white styrofoam cups. That's all you're seeing. So multiply that.
Look at that. You can zoom out this far, and you can still kind of see right, like it makes a. Oh wow.
Unbelievable. And then all the things you have on the left, these are homes. These are homes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be living right here at all.
I wouldn't live in there either.
Yeah, it's sad that Dima, that they have to live next to that and tolerate that. I mean, I don't. You know, you'd have to cross the Ward Creek to see it, but just know this. And then I saw deer scat. You know. And it made me so sad. I was walking across the plastics and stuff, and it was going crunch, 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 crunch. And then all of a sudden, I saw this deer scat, and I thought, wow, this poor deer is living in this filth, trying to survive.
Right in the middle of our town, too, like our city. You wouldn't normally have that in the habitat. And here we are not really promoting it too well, not really living up to the conservationist, we can be in our potential there.
We're the Central Park of Baton Rouge.
That's right.
We continue to litter it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Every time we have a stormwater.
This is sickening. Like the fact that we could see that on aerial maps in Google Earth is sickening.
That was shocking. When Brian found that, I was absolutely flabbergasted. And then I realized, well, it's only showing the cups. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're doing is we're working with LSU and the Department of Coastal Environment, and we had some students actually come out for their senior project, as Marie mentioned, and do some core samples into the sediment. And we went 2 feet down, and we're still finding plastic.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's been happening for a long time.
What about the Water Institute? And have you? I know they're on the much larger scale, but do they have any help or assistance or knowledge they could pass on to?
Yes, they do, and they're actually one of the partners that we're cooperating with as well.
Nice.
Dr. Clint Wilson, who's with LSU and also the Water Institute, his class is part of this project, and they're also on the resolution to be a partner to work with us to help solve this issue.
And go ahead, Dima. Go ahead.
So no, I was going to ask Dr. Jeff and of course Marie. So for the average person, what are 3 things we can do? For example, like I know now I'm gonna close my trash so well, but what would be 2 other things you recommend for the average person to do to help?
Go for it, Marie.
Well, I think you should adopt a storm drain near you, and you should try to ask your neighborhood to adopt the drains. If you're in a civic association, ask them to tie their bag and tell them how critical this is. And then, I think the styrofoam cups, as the ones that come out to pick the litter, they're just really problematic. I think do everything you can not to use those styrofoam cups. If you're having a party, pick something alternative. Those are the most destructive, and they just break into little teeny pieces. And, I guess when you go to shopping, just, there's so much packaging, but try to limit, if you have a plastic bag, say, hey, fill them fuller, or bring cloth if you can, and just try to figure out what you can do.
Well, we also have a choice when we go shopping, right? Do you buy the styrofoam product or do you buy the paper product? And that's something that, we've got to realize we're part of the issue and we are part of the solution as well. So we got to demand that the people that produce all of the containers and everything we use, yes, plastic's important, but they're all alternatives. And that's what we need to be investing in, is alternatives to the everyday items that we use. And drinking, eating, especially the food industry. That's where we need to really pay attention to.
Well, we say we want Louisiana seafood. Could we say that we want, Louisiana watershed free litter?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. True.
I have a question for you, Dima. Like, this is so simple. Why Marie and Jeff are having to get involved in this is actually quite crazy. But if you had to think just off the top of your head, who would be handling this? Who would be handling this if it not were public citizens or,
Yeah, it would keep piling.
Yeah, well, who would you think? Like, who would be the 2 entities or 3 entities you would think would be handling this? Instead, we're having to have a show about it and make it an issue.
I would think the mayor's office, and I would think the governor's office.
Look, governor's right next to this shit, to be quite honest, and I'm going to say shit because his mansion is next to this.
That's
it has been for years. It's not moving. The lakes are gross.
Well,
the city seems like it should step up. Like, we have a lot of trash on our highways, on our byways and streets, but it seems like we're finally catching on to the watershed portion. That's also extremely important. So it seems like Public Works, it seems like the city, it seems like the state would have an investment in this, but instead it's fallen on local advocates and volunteers and, great people at the brew agency getting their team out there.
Marketing.
Like that, volunteers. It shouldn't be this way. It should not be this way.
And, the local and state governments are, work at the behest of the citizens, right? And so that's something that we have to do. We have to demand that they help support this issue. And as long as the more people we can get behind this movement, the more results that we're going to get out of our local and state governments. And the mayor, we will, I have to say that the mayor and the governor know about this, and they're working with us on this issue. And we just need more of our citizens to contact them and say, look, we stand behind this and we want to help be part of the solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that you joined today and shared all of this. I am honestly shocked. I didn't even know that this is a problem. And of course, we talk about recycling and the importance of recycling. But even that, so like how many people recycle when you think about like how is it even handled in Louisiana? And that's a different discussion. That's a whole different discussion. But learning about what you're doing and seeing these pictures, I am absolutely shocked.
So, Rob, if you would just go back to our website real quick.
Yep.
There are a couple of things on there that really kind of states the issues our website does, and it also has a place where people can sign a petition and support the effort that we're working on right now, as well as also contribute to the cause. So there's 2 places on there, right up there in the upper right-hand corner, and also in the middle, sign the petition. So these are a couple ways that the citizens can get involved right now.
So we can take action right here, that top right button, and you can also sign that petition. This is LouisianaStormwater.com. We went to it earlier, and they have some really good information here and some pretty sad pictures, quite honestly. But we got to join into the efforts of here, and instead of throwing back a coal, we need to throw it all back into the trash. So our state bird doesn't get captured in moments like this that actually make you kind of wonder about scratch your head. That's a head scratcher right there on why this problem is so big. But it looks like we're part of the solution. So LouisianaStormwater.com. And Marie, how if there's some volunteers, if you talked about Thursday, tomorrow at 4:15, how can people get involved? How can they find you? What are the routes they can take to get in touch with you if they want to help?
Okay, what they can do is just show up at 1812 Ted Dunham Avenue. It's just they're going to have to put it in their GPS, and they'll see us. And we'll have the zones, and we'll have the zone maps. And so if we have a good group, we'll send them to the different zones.
Okay.
You need to wear rubber boots because the snakes are out, and it'll help kind of protect them. And they should bring litter sticks if they have them. I have some extras, but if it depends on who shows up. So we sure could use the help. We'll probably go out again Sunday, but I haven't announced it yet. It'll be on the we have a Facebook, Stormwater Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's what we needed to know. And I have to thank you for sticking with us for almost an hour and 10 minutes tonight, talking about some dirty talk tonight.
Dima, it was nice to see you again.
So good to see you, and wonderful to meet you, Dr. Jeff.
You too, Dima.
It has been a pleasure, y'all. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being great guests, and we really hope we can continue to support your efforts. Okay. We'll send our folks to the websites, and hopefully we can get a few more volunteers out there. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. Y'all have been amazing. Keep up the hard work too, because this doesn't seem like something we can do overnight, but y'all are still hacking away at it. Thank you so much for doing what you do for our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rob and Dima.
Bye.
That's it. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.